Well, greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome to the best damn movie-related show on the planet Earth, the John Campea Show, coming to you from right here on my YouTube channel. I'm, of course, your host, John Campea. It's an honor and a privilege, as it is every day, to have you guys joining me here today as we talk about our favorite things in the world, movies and movie news and all that sorts of good stuff. So let's not waste any time today and dive right into our main topics. How do we select our main topics here on the John Campea Show? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You select them by emailing your topics and questions to me at john@thejohncampeashow.com. Email me your topics and questions to john@thejohncampeashow.com. Make sure you put the word topic in the subject line. And as always, guys, keep those emails to 90 words or less, or else I wouldn't even be able to fit them on the screen, even if I wanted to use it. And then maybe you'll see one of your emails pop up here on the John Campea Show. All right, let's dive right into it with the first email today. And the first email today comes to us from Brent Shepard, who writes, "Been really looking forward to A Star is Born, and now your old stomping grounds of AMC is going to get to show the movie a couple of days early in their Dolby Prime theaters. Do you like it when movies do stuff like this? Is it unfair to other theater chains?" All right, so what Brent is talking about here is, as we all know, there's this new Bradley Cooper, Lady Gaga film, Star is Born. I believe this is the fourth incarnation of this story, Star is Born. But what is interesting about it is that Bradley Cooper is also directing this film. And so far, the reviews for it have been kind of stupid good. Like really stupid good. As a matter of fact, like right now on Rotten Tomatoes, it's holding something around the neighborhood of a 94, 95%, which is huge. A lot of the buzz coming out of the various film festivals are saying this film is going to get buzz for Best Picture at the Academy Awards this year. So it's got a lot of positive momentum behind it. Now, it's supposed to open on October 5th, and that's when it officially opens. However, what he's talking about in the email is that it's been officially announced that AMC theaters are going to get to screen this film a couple of days early on October 2nd for their AMC Dolby cinemas. I believe there's like 115 locations. This was the official announcement on the AMC website. They said this: "See A Star is Born 2 days early only in Dolby Cinema at AMC on Tuesday, October 2nd. All event ticket holders will also have the opportunity to receive a free download of the entire A Star is Born album. Seasoned musician Jackson Maine discovers and falls in love with struggling artist Allie, played by Lady Gaga. She has just about given up on her dream to make it big as a singer until Jackson coaxes her into the spotlight. But even as Allie's career takes off, the personal side of their relationship is breaking down. Oh no! As Jackson fights an ongoing battle with his own internal demons." So look, this is a film I've been really excited about. I was kind of lukewarm on it. Again, this is like the fourth incarnation of this film. Who knows how Bradley Cooper's going to do, but that first trailer for this movie came out, I was sold. I was completely sold on this movie the first time the trailer came out. It looked spectacular. Now, getting to this early screening thing, do I like it, number one, when certain theaters are able to offer an early screening of it? Yeah, I love that. I think that's great because people who are really excited about a particular movie get to go out and see it a couple days early. I think that's wonderful. I think it's great. Is it fair to other movie theaters? Well, I mean, it's business. Clearly, AMC and Dolby made some sort of deal and arrangement with the producers of A Star is Born. I love this graphic that Ray made with the AMC Prime logo in the background. That's great. Well done, Ray. Anyway, you know, they make a deal with them and they come to an arrangement and they can do whatever they want. Is it fair? It's business. And by the way, this is great for the movie as well because, number one, this shows that they got a lot of faith in this movie because they're willing to let a bunch of average fans go see this film 3 days before the official release. They are banking on the idea that these fans are going to go see to this movie and they're going to come out raving about it, and they're going to jump on social media and talk about how great A Star is Born and all this kind of stuff. That's what they're betting on. So clearly they believe in the film a hell of a lot to do this. So do I like it? Yeah, I like it. Is it fair? Of course it's fair. It's business. They make an arrangement with somebody, they get to do an early release. I mean, IMAX has got to do it sometimes. Other different theater chains at different times have got to do special early screenings of this, that, or the other thing. It happens. It's not completely usual yet, but it's not completely unusual either. And I think this is a great movie to do something like that with because, look, as great as A Star is Born looks, it's not a blockbuster film, right? Like, this isn't a film that's going to make $100 million opening weekend by any stretch of the imagination. So if you really think it's that good, put it out a couple of days early. Get a couple of thousand real film fans to get out there and start spreading the word about how good it is. It's a good move for AMC. It's a good move for A Star is Born. Yeah, I think it's good, and I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's move on to the second email today. And the second email today comes to us from Zach Stewart, who writes, I know Joaquin Phoenix turned down Doctor Strange because he doesn't want to do franchise movies. But if people respond well to Phoenix's portrayal of the Joker, what are the chances of him returning to the role in future movies? Thanks. Okay, so we're all stoked about this Joker movie. I think even a lot of people who were it rubbed them the wrong way. They were against the idea of this standalone Joker movie. I think even a lot of those people are coming on board with it now. The cast is incredible. Hearing what Joaquin Phoenix has been saying about the role, getting a good look at him as this character. It looks great as Arthur. It looks wonderful, right? So the question now comes, if the audiences receive him well as Joker, what are the chances he comes back to do a sequel? Well, I think there's a couple things to keep in mind here. Number one, everybody's just assuming, and safely so, that the audience are going to respond well to Joaquin. When does the audience not respond well to a Joaquin Phoenix performance? No, seriously. When's the last time that Joaquin Phoenix starred in a film and people went, that Joaquin Phoenix guy wasn't all that good? Like, seriously, when's the last time that happened? The answer, never, right? You can go all the way back to when he played Commodus in Gladiator. And ever since, every time he's in a role, people love him in the role. So I think the studios are just assuming that people are going to love Joaquin Phoenix in the role. Let's just assume that for a second. So could people liking it increase the chances of him coming back to do it again? I totally believe the answer to that is absolutely not. I really don't think so. And let's go back to an interview that Joaquin Phoenix did back in 2015 when ultimately he had turned down Doctor Strange. And he was kind of asked why he turned down that film and other kind of big blockbuster sorts of films. This is what Joaquin Phoenix said, and I think it gives us some insight into today. When I was younger, I was probably a bit of a snob about taking on blockbuster roles, but they've gotten better. I flirted with several of those films, having meetings and getting close, but ultimately it never felt like they'd really be fulfilling. This is the key part here. There were too many requirements that went against my instincts for character. I've been spoiled. I've never had to make those compromises. Now, of course, in previous interviews and in interviews following, when he talks about there are too many requirements, one of those big requirements we now know that Joaquin Phoenix was really against was the request that studios have that for him to come on one of these movies, that he sign a multi-film deal. We knew that became a big breaking point in his negotiations to play Doctor Strange. He did not want to sign a multi-film deal. He doesn't believe in playing characters multiple times. He doesn't believe that serves the character and all that kind of stuff, right? Unless he has had a massive change of philosophy, which I don't see any reason to believe he has, but it's possible. But unless he has had one of those massive changes of philosophy, I would be extremely surprised if we found out that there was a multi-film deal here. I simply don't think Joaquin Phoenix would have signed on for this had Warner Brothers required a multi-film commitment. That just doesn't seem to be what Joaquin Phoenix wants to do. But then we ask, but what if the audience really likes him? The audience always really likes him. That's not a variable in this equation, right? It's not a variable. The audience is going to like him because that's just what we always do when Joaquin Phoenix is in a movie. We always like him. So that's not a variable here. They were making this movie knowing the audience is going to like him as Joker. That doesn't mean the movie's going to be great, but the chances are we're going to like Joaquin Phoenix in the role, even if we don't like the movie, who knows? But it doesn't change the fact that Joaquin Phoenix just doesn't seem, when we take his past words and his current kind of patterns that he has, it does not look like he likes going back and doing sequels. He doesn't like to do multi-film things. He doesn't think that serves the character. And that's what he's all about. So, look, I'm going to be with a lot of you guys that if this movie turns out to be good, and Joaquin Phoenix is as great in the role as we're all kind of anticipating he's going to be, I'm going to hope he does another one. I'm going to be right there with you. I'm going to be cheering for it. But I have a very, very hard time believing at this point, and fingers crossed, but I have a very hard time believing at this point that Joaquin Phoenix would come back and do it. And I don't think people liking him in the role would change his mind, because they always like him in his role. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think there could be a legitimate chance that a Joaquin Phoenix could indeed come on board again and play this character again and do his first sequel sort of? Do you think he could do that? Do you think there's a realistic chance that could happen? Jump down to the comments section and let me know what you guys think and why you're thinking it. I'd like to know. All right, let's move on to the third email today. And the third topic emailed in today comes to us from Theodore Long, who writes, "Hey John, like most people on Earth, I'm a fan of Christopher Nolan's films. I was wondering, have you heard anything about what his next film will be? Personally, I'd love to see him do a comedy or horror film." All right, thanks a lot for the question, man. And Christopher Nolan's names have been coming up a lot more recently because of all the drama going on with James Bond. There was kind of a push for people wanting to see Christopher Nolan direct a James Bond. I always thought that was a long shot because besides Batman, Nolan seems to just like to create his own stuff. But it was possible. And apparently there were some discussions that happened, but we know it never ultimately happened. Who knows? Maybe he'll be the guy to replace Danny Boyle. We'll have to wait and see. But it's unlikely. But it would be awesome. Anyway. So ever since Dunkirk came out, a lot of people have been wondering, okay, what is he going to do next? You know, he is one of the most respected filmmakers amongst the film community and amongst the fans. He's one of the most respected filmmakers in the world. What will Christopher Nolan do next? I have it in my head. There are three things I would like to see him do. Now, these aren't specific films, like I want to see him do Bond 25. No, it's not specific things, but three general things, three types of movies I would really love to see Christopher Nolan do. Because we've seen that he is great at these typical Christopher Nolan films. We know he's great at that. But there are three types of films I would love to see him expand his repertoire, to see what a filmmaker like Christopher Nolan could do in different types of films. And here are the three that I have in mind particularly. Number one, no surprise, I've said it 1,000 times, and you just said it yourself in your email, a straight-up comedy. I would love to see Christopher Nolan take on a comedy. Now, we know Nolan has a good sense of humor as well. Even some of his more serious films, there are moments of levity and moments that he uses to break up when the tension of a scene is getting too heavy. Christopher Nolan knows how to drop in some levity and stuff like that. So we know he's got a sense for the timing of humor. Could he do that in a straight comedy film? Does he have that in his tool belt? Does he have those skills as a director to deliver a straight comedy? I mean, it doesn't have to be a straight comedy. I mean, it could be a little bit of comedy action or comedy whatever, but a film that is primarily a comedy. Could Christopher Nolan do something like that and then engage and entertain us? We know he would build a good story in it, but can he give the laughs? Can he direct that thing and pace it in such a way that it delivers the laughs all the way through? I'm not saying he couldn't, and I'm not saying he could. I'm just saying we've never seen this incredible filmmaker, Christopher Nolan, even attempt something like that. I would love to see him give it a try and see what he could do. Because until he starts showing me a little bit more in his tool belt, we often have these discussions about the Mount Rushmore of directors, right? And whenever I talk about it, I never have Christopher Nolan on that list. For a couple of reasons. One, his career is still too young. Let's have that discussion again in another 10 or 15 years. But the second one is I need to see him do more. He has yet to make a bad film. Every film he's made is at least good. Not many directors can say that. Some of them straight up outstanding. But can he do more? And comedy is one of the things I'd really like to see him try. The second thing that I've said before, but you also had mentioned in your email here, is indeed horror. Horror is another one of those high experiential genres of films where really the experience of the film is like, look, all film are experiential events. Okay, I've said that many times. But there are a couple of films where the experience really becomes even more to the forefront. I believe two of those are comedy and horror. So the flip side of that comedy coin that I would love to see Christopher Nolan take a crack at is horror. Can he bring that tension? Can he bring the scares? We know, like comedy, he would build a good story around it, but can he then deliver on the horror film experience and deliver on that level? I don't know that he can, and I don't know that he can't, but all I know is as a film fan, man, I'd be hella curious to see what a horror film directed by Christopher Nolan. And I'm not talking some horror franchise. I'm not saying Christopher Nolan do a Friday the 13th movie, or Christopher Nolan do a Child's Play movie, or Christopher Nolan do a Nightmare on Elm Street. No. A Christopher Nolan original, straight up horror film. I would be fascinated to see what he could do with that. I think it would be really neat. The third that I'd really like to see him do, because again, it's so far out of what we think of Christopher Nolan's sandbox, is animation. I would love to see an animated film directed by Christopher Nolan. And again, part of the reason that I say animation is because, remember what I said at the beginning here, I want to see a director with the skills of a Christopher Nolan step outside of what's become a little bit of his comfort zone. These types of movies he does are all incredible, but they've kind of over the years developed into a recognizable sandbox that he kind of stays in. I'd like to see him do comedy because it's way outside of that box. I'd love to see him do horror because it's way outside of that box. And the other thing that is way outside of that box is animation. Now, I'm not saying it needs to be a G-rated family animated film or anything. It can be anything. But just working in a different medium would be fascinating to see. Because I will tell you this right now. If in the next 6 years, Christopher Nolan does 2 out of those 3 things, just 2 out of those 3. Let's say he does an animated and a horror, or a comedy and an animated, or whatever. He does just 2 of those. And he brings his standard Christopher Nolan excellence to those films, and he delivers on those films. I'll tell you what, I will instantly put him on that Mount Rushmore of directors. If he shows he can get outside of that sandbox that he plays in so often and bring that Christopher Nolan excellence to something else and something different and something way outside his regular edges, I don't need to wait 10 more years after that. I'll put him on the Mount Rushmore right then and there. If he can show us a glimpse of that Spielberg type of diversity in his filmmaking repertoire, I'll put him on that Mount Rushmore right away. That's just me speaking as an individual fan. You may feel differently, and that's totally cool. So, again, the 3 films I'd love to see Christopher Nolan do, because they are each represent a type of filmmaking that is way outside of the traditional Christopher Nolan box, is comedy, horror, and animation. I'm not saying he has to do these things, not at all, but I'll love whatever. I'm dying to see anything Christopher Nolan does. Let's be clear about that. But I'd love to see him try one of those 3 things. That would be great. All right, let's move on now to the 4th email today. And the 4th email today comes to us from Robert Dugan, who writes, "One of the things that broke my heart the most in Infinity War was the death of Loki. I just read that the new Disney streaming channel is going to produce a live-action Loki series and a live-action Scarlet Witch series, and that Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen are going to actually play the roles. This is insane. Do you know if this is legit, and what do you think about it?" All right, so last night, I believe it was Variety, yeah, it was Variety, broke the story that Disney, the upcoming streaming service, we've known Disney is putting a lot of chips on this streaming service idea. That's a poker term. Anyway, we know that Disney's putting a lot of chips on this whole streaming service play and that they're dead serious about it. But it really looks like they're going to go for it, because the report in Variety did say exactly that. It says that they're going to do a live-action Loki series. Now, this is according to Variety. They say they don't have any official comment from Disney, but Variety is staking it on their sources that Loki series is coming, that a Scarlet Witch series is coming. They will be limited series, and they will indeed star a Tom Hiddleston and a Scarlet Witch, and an Elizabeth Olsen. Here's what it said in the Variety report. It says, the entertainment giant, that's Disney, is in early development on an ambitious plan for a number of limited series centered on popular characters from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. These series will likely include shows centered on Loki and the Scarlet Witch, along with other beloved superheroes who have yet to appear in their own standalone movies. That's a key thing right there. That it's going to be more than just Loki and Scarlet Witch, But it seems like one of the prerequisites is that they're characters who have not had their own standalone movies. That's interesting. The article goes on to say the following. It says, there's an important distinction from other Marvel small screen efforts, however. The actors who portrayed these heroes and villains in the Avengers films and other spin-offs, such as Tom Hiddleston and Elizabeth Olsen, are expected to play them in the streaming shows. Moreover, though sources close to the production are staying mum on the cost of the programming, the budgets are expected to be hefty, rivaling those of a major studio productions. Each series is expected to include 6 to 8 episodes. Marvel Studios will produce the shows, and Kevin Feige, the guru of all things MCU, unlike all the other stuff on TV, is expected to take a hands-on role in the development. Couple of massive things in that. Number one, the fact that they're looking at Scarlet Witch and Loki and other characters. Number two, that the budgets for these things are going to be impressive. Number three, that Kevin Feige himself, unlike all the other Marvel TV stuff, they're saying Kevin Feige will take a hands-on approach to developing these series. Now, some of you might be saying, John, you're sounding kind of excited about this, and I am. But then you might be saying, but John, you usually like the TV stuff and the movie stuff to be separate. Yes. However, this isn't some new character that we're creating for TV and then saying it ties into the cinematic universe. This is Loki of the MCU, of Asgard, who of course is burdened with glorious purpose. This is Loki we're talking about. So he is part of the MCU. He's tied into it already. So moving him now to like a Disney streaming thing and giving him like a 6 to 8 episode arc, that's perfectly fine with me. Same thing goes with Scarlet Witch. Same thing goes if they want to do a Falcon series. Same thing goes for me if they want to do a Black Widow series, although it looks like she's probably going to get her own movie. But I think this is terrific. And it kind of, if we didn't already get it, it shows that Marvel and Disney in particular is going to go balls to the wall on this streaming servicing of theirs. When you start putting out a series like these and you're saying you're going to do this type of programming and you're saying you're going to put up these types of budgets, it means you're not kidding around. It means you're going deadly serious for it. Now, what I've seen a lot of people online today, including in our own live chat board here, is that people are asking, and understandably so, what about, but Loki's dead. Loki died in Avengers Infinity War. Scarlet Witch died in Avengers Infinity War. Well, there's a couple things. Number one, we all know the snap is getting undone. Spider-Man Far From Home is coming 2 months after Avengers 4. So that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody, nor should it cause any sort of confusion that they're talking about doing Scarlet Witch. With Loki, it's a little bit more of a tricky question because Loki did not die of the snap. The snap is not what killed Loki. It was Thanos straight up choking a fool out. Although how an Asgardian god gets just killed by getting choked out is beyond me. But whatever. That's the way they killed him. So there are several options here, but there are two major options here. Option number one is that Loki is indeed, once again, coming back from the dead. He is, of course, the god of mischief. He's a god of trickery. He's pulled stuff like this before. But Thanos said no resurrections this time. Well, he fooled Thanos too. He fooled Thanos a couple of times. Thanos doesn't know everything. First of all, I'm not Asgardian. And that clearly threw Thanos for a loop. He didn't know that. He did not know Loki was actually, his lineage is frost giant, right? So anyway, option number one is that they bring him back to life. Or that they say he was never actually dead. Option two, I believe, is the more likely option. And that is using the word I don't like using, but that is prequel. That is something that happens, a 6 to 8 series arc that takes place before the events of Avengers Infinity War. Wherever before. Whether it's between Thor Dark World and Thor Ragnarok, whether it happens between Thor 1 and Thor 2, whether it happens even further back in time before Thor 1 ever happened, whatever. They have lots of options there. So yes, it is a possibility Marvel and Disney could be looking at bringing Loki back again. I mean, he didn't die of the snap, but I mean, if they use time travel, maybe they save everybody even before the beginning of the movie. Who knows? That's a possibility. I think, and I have nothing to base this on other than my own speculation, I think the more likely scenario here, though, is that it is some sort of set in the past thing. That to me seems a great... Now, with Scarlet Witch, you don't have that sort of limitation. Because like everybody else, including Spider-Man, she died of the snap. They're obviously bringing the snap people back because Spider-Man's coming back in Far From Home. So you don't really face that kind of problem. It's still two options with Scarlet Witch. Option number one, she's back to life and it's a present day sort of series. Option number two, it's a prequel. While I believe the Loki one is more likely going to be a prequel, I would go the opposite with Scarlet Witch. I think a Scarlet Witch one would actually be present day. I think the Scarlet Witch one would be present day. And then that brings up the other huge question of, well, what are these other shows? What other characters might they do? What other characters could they give a limited series to? I already mentioned a couple of big ones that I think are strong possibilities. I think Falcon's a strong possibility. I think War Machine's a strong possibility. I think Wasp is a strong possibility. I think there are a couple of strong choices here that they could do, but that's going to be the topic of a lot of discussion over the next coming months is, other than Loki and Scarlet Witch, which other characters are they talking about when they say other characters as well? Remember, it can't be somebody who had their own standalone film already. So it can't be one of those. So I'm curious to know. So I want to know what you guys think. Do you like the sounds of this? Does it excite you, the idea of a limited series to get to visit these characters again? Do you like this play by Disney to add things like this to their streaming service? Do you have some problems with it? Let me know your thoughts. Jump down to the comment section below and let me know what you're thinking. Okay, guys. With that stuff out of the way, let's now move on to some live questions. You guys have been sending in live questions, so we're going to get to those right now. And we're going to start things off with the first live question from Dirk Walker, who writes, I just heard the original creators and showrunners of the Avatar cartoon are on board for the Netflix live action series. I couldn't be more pumped. Well, Dirk, I don't want to throw a wet blanket. Let me just grab something here. I don't want to throw a wet blanket on your enthusiasm because that's great. It's great that you have that enthusiasm. Okay. It's awesome that you have that enthusiasm. But, again, hold on a second. There it is. Okay. But don't get too excited. So what Dirk is talking about, and what I've heard a few people getting very excited about, is the idea that they're going to do a Last Airbender series on Netflix. Now, I said the other day that I thought there was very, very small chance that any studio would actually reboot a Last Airbender, feature film with the money to be involved and all that kind of stuff. But I never considered a Netflix series. That's a great idea. I talked about this a little bit on Open Mic yesterday. Going to Netflix is a great idea. Because if it fails, who cares? Nobody will even remember it. And if it succeeds, great. But one of the things that a lot of people are getting excited about is the fact that, and I just want to make sure, I just pulled up their names here, Michael DiMartino and Brian Kozitzko, who were the showrunners of the animated Last Airbender, well, they're plugged in as producers on this new Netflix series. So I'm seeing all these people going, that means it's going to be awesome now. Because we got the guys as the producers of this now who were the showrunners of the original cartoon. That means this thing's going to be awesome. I got one small thing of caution to give you before you get all psyched up. Michael DiMartino and Brian Konietzko have never produced or been involved with any live action film or series before. They don't know live action. They don't know how to translate something from animated to live action. They've never had any experience with producing live action. Oh, wait, what's that? I'm getting a message here. Wait 1 second. What's that? They have produced a live action film before? They were the executive producers on a live action major motion picture before? I stand corrected, guys. I'm wrong. Michael DiMartino and Brian Kozitzko were executive producers and collaborators on a major live action motion picture before. I was totally wrong. It was that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, M. Night Shyamalan's The Last Airbender was executive produced by Michael DiMartino and Brian Kozitzko. I'm sure I'm mispronouncing his name brutally. But yes, they were the executive producers on the live action Last Airbender. And I remember, as you guys do too, all the talk about how M. Night and the showrunners of the animation were in close collaboration, that M. Night was doing justice to the film, about how every part of what he was doing was done in collaboration and consultation with the showrunners of the animated film. How'd that turn out? So, look, I am definitely not saying that these guys being involved with the Netflix series is a bad thing. Not at all. Do not misquote me. I'm not saying that's a bad thing at all. All I'm cautioning is that before getting too rah, go team, this is going to be awesome because the showrunners from the animated series are now involved with this live action series. Don't get too bought into that because they've been involved with the live action translation of The Last Airbender before, and we all saw how that turned out. Now, you could rightfully say, John, there are some differences between that scenario with the 2010 film and this, and you would be totally right to say that. Totally right to say it. There are some key differences between that and now. That's why I don't think it's a bad thing that these guys are involved. Not at all. All I'm cautioning, because I know there's a lot of you guys who are really excited about this. All I'm cautioning is don't get your blood pressure too high with excitement over this, because it's not like these guys haven't been involved as executive producers of a live action incarnation of The Last Airbender before. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying it's going to be bad. I'm not saying this isn't positive news. I'm just saying before getting don't sell your house and bet all your money on the idea that because these guys are involved, that automatically means this live action incarnation will be a success. I'm just saying temper that excitement a little bit. That's all I'm saying. I still think this move to Netflix was a great move. I believe the original showrunners being involved is a positive piece of news. I'm just saying don't get carried away with overwhelming enthusiasm and excitement because we could see history just repeat itself again. That's all I'm saying. So don't say Campea says this is going to suck. Not at all. I'm just saying don't get too excited yet. That's kind of it. Okay, so next up comes to us from Ben Heyusa, who writes, so my mom wanted to show me a movie last night. I was like, no, please, Mom, that's a bad one. The movie was Gods of Egypt. Ooh, I wanted to walk out of the house. Yeah, that was directed by Alex, the guy who did The Crow, Proyas. Is that how you pronounce his last name? Anyway, that was directed by him. Had Gerard Butler in it. Awful movie. Awful movie. And then I remember Alex Proyas threw this little baby temper tantrum, like getting mad at critics for saying his film was awesome. Well, we're saying that his film was awful. I'm sorry, dude, your film was awful. If you're going to be all happy the critics say they love your films, then you're going to have to pull up your pants a little bit when they say they don't like your films. Just suck it up and take it. That's the business you're in. You want to put out movies and be a rich, famous director and have people love your work, well, then you're going to have to be willing to take some of the criticism that comes with it as well. But anyway, yeah, man, that movie was ass. That movie was ass. Like, just completely awful. Anyway, sorry your mom made you go through that, Ben. Let's see. Next one up. Ben follows up with, I, Robot and especially The Crow are the only Alex Proyas movies I like. Happy Rusev Hump Day, by the way, John. Well, thank you so much. Yeah, I, Robot's not bad, too. And you know what? Hold on a second. There's another one. I've got one itching in the back of my head here. Another one that I actually don't mind all that much. Was it? Dark City. Dark City. I didn't mind Dark City either. I thought Dark City was pretty good. So yeah, obviously Crow. I think iRobot's pretty good. Dark City's good. But he's also got some stingers. Yeah, he's not a bad director. He's got hits and he's got misses, just like a lot of decent directors out there. I think he's a decent director, but again, just like everybody else, he's got hits and he's got misses. Let's see. Der Wunderbar writes, I love Wolf as werewolf movies go. It's unique. That's the Jack Nicholson one, right? Yeah. A number of people don't mind that one. And I don't think it's a bad one. Again, to me, this has been a running theme for the last few days because somebody asked me a few days ago, what's my favorite werewolf movie? And it's like and I said it's An American Werewolf in London, but it's also the only werewolf movie that I think is like really, truly great. I can't think of a werewolf movie that I didn't just go, oh, that's bad, or, oh yeah, that's pretty good, but actually when it's great. The only one I can think of that I really, truly think is great is American Werewolf in London, which is also my all-time favorite horror film. So, yeah, there's that. But yeah, Wolf's not bad. Wolf's not bad at all. Ben Sultan writes, I really don't understand why they're making a Scarlet Witch series, as where Disney doesn't even own the rights to the character's origin. Well, I mean, look, Scarlet Witch, this was established years ago. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver are the only two specific characters in the Disney and Fox deal that both companies are allowed to use the characters. The only catch is X-Men, if they use the Scarlet Witch, cannot reference. I mean, this is all with the purchase and merger aside. Take all that out of it for now. Fox cannot use references to anything about the Avengers. And Marvel, if they use Scarlet Witch, which they do, they cannot reference anything about her parentage like Magneto or the word mutant. So they clearly have a little bit of a different origin for her. Remember, Scarlet Witch's origins in the MCU are different from her origins in Fox and the traditional comic book stuff. And they like the character. Who cares about the origins? They like the character. And they like the actress playing her. So they want to tell some stories with her. So to me, it's no big deal. Nobody cares about the origin. She does have an origin. In the movies, she has an origin. It's different from the comic book origins, but nobody cares. So it's perfectly fine that they do that. There's nothing wrong with that. Zombatron 5678 writes, so is Loki alive? I mean, again, there are two possibilities. One, he's alive, or two, it's a prequel stuff. I lean more towards the idea that they're probably going to do prequel, but who knows? They may surprise us again. They've done it before. Arturo Beltran writes, opinion on Jodie starting as the Doctor next month. Well, I don't know who Jodie is, and I don't know which show or movie we're talking about. Are you talking about Doctor Who? Are you, I don't know this, but I'm going to take a guess here that you're talking about Doctor Who and that they're having their first woman take over the role as the Doctor Who. I don't know. I don't watch Doctor Who, so I have no opinion, and I don't know anything about this actress, so I have no opinion. As to whether I'm okay with there being a female Doctor Who, yeah, why not? I mean, if you understand the nature of the Time Lords, it's really not that big of a deal. So I'm cool with it, but other than that, since I really don't know the show and I really don't know the actress, I can't have much of an opinion. Pelican Mike writes, Aquaman trailer 2 soon to counteract Mary Poppins. Well, I mean, they've got to be getting close to an Aquaman trailer, another Aquaman trailer fairly soon. I mean, we're in September. We're getting towards the end of September. So October, November. We're now 3 months away from Aquaman opening up. Like, we're 3 months and 2 days away from Aquaman opening up. It's been a couple of months since we had the first Aquaman trailer. I'd say within the month, we're going to get another Aquaman trailer. But it's going to be because that's when they plan to have another Aquaman trailer. It's not going to be a response to Mary Poppins. And it's not going to be to, how did you put it? Counteract Mary Poppins. There's just no doing that. That trailer was too good. That Mary Poppins trailer was simply too good. Now, anyway. But they will come out with another trailer, but it's not going to be so they can counteract Mary Poppins. They're going to come out with another trailer because that was the plan. They were always going to have another 2 trailers probably come out. We're 3 months within the movie coming out. So expect another one, but it's not going to be to counteract Mary Poppins. Subtle McShave writes, Daniel Green has a great video called How to Be a Struggling YouTuber, Realistic Important Info for Starting Up as a YouTuber. I don't know who Daniel Green is, but for anybody who's thinking about starting up a YouTube channel, that sounds like something you should go and check out. So thanks for sharing that, Stubble. Mike Hill writes, why do they seem to be pushing out Superman in favor of Supergirl recently? Movie and TV. Oh, I don't know. I think they just don't know what to do with Superman, which is really a shame. Because you have the most iconic comic book character of all time. And you have a great actor playing the role. And you made a great first movie. But not everybody loved it. Okay, all that kind of stuff. I get it. I don't know. I'm flabbergasted. I really am. But clearly, Warner Brothers does not have a lot of respect for the Superman character. They just don't. I mean, look, I'm fine with what they did with Batman vs. Superman. But remember, Batman vs. Superman was originally announced as Man of Steel 2. That was supposed to be Superman's movie. Then it became Superman's movie with a significant secondary character, Batman. And then that turned into, look, let's face it, Batman vs. Superman is a Batman movie with Superman as a strong secondary character. And then I don't mind that they had a Supergirl TV show, but then they brought Superman onto her show to be a pathetic little jobber to job to Supergirl just to put Supergirl over. Warner Brothers has shown incredible disrespect to the character of Superman. Incredible disrespect. So it doesn't, understanding how much disrespect they have and how much disrespect they've shown to the character of Superman. I mean, they show worlds of respect to a lot of their characters. They've shown worlds of respect to Wonder Woman, as they should. They've shown worlds of respect to the Batman character, sometimes maybe even too much, and sometimes you could argue they've been too careful with Batman, but still, they've shown worlds of respect to Batman. They have been incredibly disrespectful to the Superman character on a number of occasions in a number of ways. So it doesn't shock me. So why do they seem to be pushing Superman out to make room for Supergirl? I have no idea, but it doesn't surprise me because this is a company that has a huge amount of disrespect for the character. So it doesn't surprise me at all. Donaldo Martinez writes, do movie studios lose money when releasing Blu-rays, DVD, and digital bundle? The buyer keeps one copy and gives the other two away. Well, I mean, there's actually a big court case going on, and it's been going back and forth, and I don't even think it's finally resolved yet. But what was happening was Redbox. What Redbox was doing was they were buying a bunch of Blu-rays to put in their machines, but then selling off the digital codes for the digital downloads. So they were essentially getting 2-for-1 deal on that, right? And then one court ruling said that Redbox was allowed to do it. Then another court ruling said they're not allowed to do it. And I don't even think it's finalized yet. They're only losing money if you make the assumption that everybody they give these copies away to would have bought the movie on their own anyway. And that's a pretty big leap. That's a pretty big assumption. But it is a problem for them, and it's a problem they're trying to figure out ways around. But hey, you know what? It's not really going to matter much longer. We all know physical media is on the way out. It's not dead yet, but it is on the way out. Fewer and fewer Blu-rays are sold. Fewer and fewer DVDs are sold. It's on its way out. Physical media is dying. So it is a problem, but it's not going to be a problem for long. It's going to be a problem that kind of self-corrects because pretty soon it's just all going to be digital. Dirk Walker writes, the average film fans that don't know about Skrulls must have been like, what the fuck, when they watched Captain Marvel punch out a sweet old lady on the bus. You know what, Dirk? That's a good point. I had never considered that. I always watched that laughing, thinking that's a great funny scene because we all know that's probably a Skrull. You know what? The average film fan does not know that's a Skrull. I'm picturing my mom sitting at home watching that trailer and going, why the hell is she punching the little old lady? What's that about? Because my mom doesn't know who Skrulls are. So that is an excellent point, Dirk. That is a great point. I hadn't even thought about that. I should give my mom a call and ask, because she watches all these trailers, right? I should give my mom a call and just ask her, what were you thinking in that Captain Marvel trailer when you see Captain Marvel load up and is about to punch that old woman in the face. What did you think was going on there? I'd be curious to know. That's a really good observation, man. Pelican Mike writes, I've never seen a Transformers movie, but I'm in on Bumblebee. Hey, look, the Bumblebee trailer was solid. The fact that it's got the director of Kubo and the Two Strings. The fact that it's a prequel means you don't really have to have seen any of the other Transformers movies to watch this one and get it. I believe it will be the final Transformers movie of this universe. I believe Paramount is going to reboot the whole thing in a couple of years. But the trailer's been good. You got a great director on board. I'll tell you what, man, as much as I've hated all the Transformers movies except for the first one, I'm on board for this Bumblebee movie too, so you're not alone. Mason Barr writes, King Piccolo from Dragon Ball Evolution is in Captain Marvel. Say what? Just kidding, of course, Dragon Ball Z. Talking about probably Look at the Skrulls. I've seen a few memes around about Skrulls, comparing them to different things from different franchises, but I have seen that one with Dragon Ball characters as well, so good observation. DC Patience writes, gritty Captain Marvel trailer. Fuck old people. Playing, of course, on the DC streaming services show of Titans, where they go, oh, we're going to make this dark and gritty. Fuck Batman. So, yeah, that's right. They're going for a dark, gritty Captain Marvel. She's like, fuck old people. You're in my seat, lady. Boom. That would be funny. I like that. Nice one, D. All right. Rami J. Royster writes, Howard the Duck, 1986, is one of my all-time favorite guilty pleasure movies, so I'm glad he said guilty. So bad, it's hilarious. Do you think Marvel will make a reboot? No. No. They're not going to do a reboot. There's no way. No, it just wouldn't sell. Just like the original didn't sell. Just like the original did not sell. And why they never did another one after that. James Gunn gave a cute little thing showing Howard in the background there and brought him into the post-credits of Avenger or of Guardians. That was fine. Gave a lot of people a big kick. Would they ever do? I can't see it happening. I mean, look, anything's possible. Sure. I mean, look, they've done stranger things, man. Look, let's jump back 7 years. You told me, hey, John, Marvel's going to do a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. What do you think? I'd say, no, they're not. I just can't see that happening. I could not see. Why would they do no one's ever even heard of Guardians of the Galaxy. Why would they do that? That's what I would have said. And here we are, living in an era where there have been 2 and probably a 3rd Guardians of the Galaxy movie on the way. So I will sit here and say I highly doubt they will do a Howard the Duck movie, because I do doubt it. But leave room in there for the fact that Marvel has done stranger things. So one never knows. But if you're going to guess me, would I put money on it? Nah, I wouldn't put money that would ever happen. It's a money loser for sure. Dervunderbar writes, I could see Marvel in the Captain Marvel trailer. Yeah, it's Jude Law. Jude Law has a big close-up of him in there, which made me wonder why we didn't get like a real shot of Ronan. Now, a lot of you guys have pointed out that we do see a small back silhouette of Ronan in one shot. You're right, but that's not really showing him in the trailer. So I was a little bit surprised that we didn't get him, but we did get Marvel. But then again, you don't want to blow your load and show everything and everybody in just your first trailer for a movie that's not coming out for a half a year. So I get it. AFC writes, let's see here. Do Sony take all profits from the Marvel Spider-Man solo films? And if so, why would they take the character back from MCU's involvement if Venom flops? Well, so it's not, okay, it's a little more complicated than that. Sony is the distributor for the Marvel Spider-Man film. So they get a big chunk of the box office. And I believe they pay Marvel a fee for their movie. They pay Marvel a fee for producing the film. So Marvel gets money, Sony gets money. The better the film does, the better it is for Sony. But I believe still Marvel gets money and Sony gets money. So there's that. But there is a bigger piece of the pie, which is to also be the production company. You get more money if you're also the production company. This is why Marvel won't do an Incredible Hulk movie, because they know they got to split the money with Universal, because Universal has the rights to be the distributor of any Incredible Hulk movie. Marvel doesn't want to do that. They want the whole pie, not half the pie, and it's understandable. Marvel can make a Hulk movie tomorrow if they want. They just have to do it understanding that Universal gets to be the distributor. But they don't want that. They want to make and distribute their own films. Sony's no different. So yes, while they are making money with Spider-Man being over in the MCU, they would make more money. Like if they make a film that makes $700 million or more, just like every single Sony Spider-Man movie ever made has at minimum made over $700 million. Not one Spider-Man movie made by Sony ever made a dollar under $700 million. They would get more money if they didn't have to split whatever profits those were with an MCU and with a Marvel. If they were the production company and the distributor, they make more money. And they're in control of it, and they can build cinematic stuff around it. So that's why. Robert Johnson writes, over under 60%, an event will cause mass mutation in the MCU. I'll take the under on that because that then completely gets rid of the history. The part of the greatness of X-Men is the history of X-Men. The origins of Professor Xavier, the origins of Magneto, all that kind of stuff. You throw all that away if you just say, mutation only starts today. If you do that, you're throwing a lot of the lore of X-Men out the window. Now, I'm not saying they won't do that. I think it's a possibility, but 60% seems high to me. I would probably set that number closer to like a 20, so I'll take the under on 60%. Let's see. Pelican Mike writes, Mad Men, Wire, Lost. John, what do I watch first? Wire. Watch Wire first, then Mad Men and Lost, because you will see, once you watch Wire first, you'll see how much The Wire influenced dramatic, epic storytelling and television after it. Almost every dramatic, epic level television show that's come after The Wire is at least in part influenced by The Wire. It's crazy when you go back and watch. So I would start with The Wire. MuseTac Reviews writes, which Marvel show do you prefer? Oh gosh, guys, I hate it when you use short form. Jessica Jones, Infinity, Iron Fist, or Luke Cage. I'll say overall Luke Cage. Luke Cage had the best single season out of any of those three, and that was Luke Cage season 1, even though the second half wasn't all that great. But I'll go Luke Cage. Dervunderbar writes, you are such a polished ass kisser, it takes my breath away. Will Randall, that's of course from Wolf. That's a Jack Nicholson line in Wolf. It's a good line too. Dakota Barber writes, Nick Cage is so great in Mandy, available to rent streaming. It's one of those performances that reminds of how good of a dramatic actor he really is. I mean, look, there are Oscar statues on Nicolas Cage's mantle for a reason. When he wants to, and it matters to him, he is one of the when he's on his A game, he's one of the world's best. He just is. Problem is, he's not always on his A game. He's way too consistent. It's like a baseball player, right? Like, man, when this guy is on and he's in peak mental condition, he's in peak physical condition, this guy's one of the best home run hitters in the league. Unfortunately, he hardly ever goes to batting practice. He'll often show up late. He's often distracted, and you really don't see him hit all that often because he's too hit and miss. That's kind of like Nicolas Cage. But man, I'm telling you, when he's on, he's on. He's absolutely on. And I've heard good things about Mandy. I haven't watched it yet myself, but I've heard good things about it. Stubble McShave writes, last week, Wheel of Time fans had a Q&A with the showrunner of the new TV series. Well, the proposed new TV series that they're working on. It's not. I don't believe it's greenlit yet. Book fans of a property for 20 years. Don't ask your average Joe questions. Check it out. Rafe Judkins, hashtag WOT Wednesday 1 week ago. All right, I'll check that out when I have a chance. I'm not really a big Wheel of Time fan, so it's not really all that important to me. Stubble McShave writes, seen the Stan and Ollie trailer, Oscar nomination. Yes, so I believe it's Coogan and John C. Reilly as Laurel and Hardy in Stan and Oliver. It's a great trailer. Oscar nominations? Listen, whoa, it's a trailer. It's a trailer. Like, let's see the movie before we start talking about Oscar nominations. Okay, let's see the movie before we start talking Oscar nominations. All right, I don't even know anybody that has seen the film, so let's pump the brakes on Oscar nomination talk over just a trailer. But I will say this: the trailer is great. It's a great trailer. I really enjoyed it, and John C. Reilly's showing some more dimension, which is great. And Coogan's wonderful as well. So I really dig the trailer. Pelican Mike says, Pitch. How about a Stan Lee TV series? Nah. Each episode follows a different version of him. No, I honestly don't think it would have that much interest. I don't look. Everybody loves seeing a quick Stan Lee cameo in the movies. I don't think anybody wants. I don't think it would get a legitimate audience. And I love Stan Lee, but there are a lot of people I love that I don't want to watch a television series of. So yeah, I'm gonna say no on that one myself. But I mean, probably a lot of people watching this are thinking, hell yeah, let's do a Stan Lee TV series. Jump down in the comment section. Let me know what you guys think. Let's see. Where'd we go here? Okay, where are we here? Jabin Carter writes, will Nick Fury be the love interest for Captain Marvel? Somebody else asked that the other day. I doubt it, but I don't strongly doubt it. You know what I mean? Like if I had to put $5 on it, I'd say no. If you had to put $100 on it, I wouldn't. I just wouldn't participate at all because I don't think so. I doubt it. I don't think so, but I don't strongly doubt it because it is a possibility. Connor Diaz writes, First Man trailer 3 with JFK's narration is amazing. I'm not sure I know which one you're talking about. Is this a new one that came out today? I haven't seen it yet. Patrick Conway writes, film level Wanda Loki Star Wars show great content. Film level Wanda Loki Star Wars show great content. Not sure what it is you're trying to say, Patrick. Sorry about that. Drew Vunderbar writes, Turkish Star Wars is worth watching for a laugh. I didn't even know there was a Turkish Star Wars. Drew Vunderbar. Look, if you got a link to that, please email it to me. Please email me a link if you have something there. I would love to check that out. The Porn Nerds writes, John, how much of a Major League Baseball fan are you? Favorite team or teams? You're going to hate me, but I don't consider baseball a real sport. I consider baseball a game of skill, but I don't even consider it a sport. So I'm not a big baseball fan. Now, like every other sports fan, I get into baseball when when the playoffs come around. I get intrigued. And by the way, last year the playoffs were crazy good. But like I'll get into that. Other than that, I just can't. I remember this is true one time. Obviously, my team is Toronto Blue Jays. I was in downtown Toronto when they won their first World Series against the, I believe it was the Phillies. Joe Carter hit his home run off the Braves, right? At any rate, I was downtown Toronto in that huge mass of 1 million people partying in the streets. That was great. But a true story. The law firm I was working at, we had private box tickets, like a season's private box, where you got chairs and they bring in food and all that kind of stuff. This one time, me and my buddy took the company tickets, went into Toronto because it's about a 45-minute drive from my city of Hamilton. Went to the game, left in like the 5th inning because we were just bored to tears. So baseball is a game that doesn't really appeal to me. I played it as a kid, but yeah, I've just never been all that into baseball, which makes my friends of mine, because I'm a huge sports fan, right? But a lot of friends of mine look at me going, "What?" Like look at me like I'm like completely out of my mind. Sebastian Trillo writes, Netflix Last Airbender series, Kiss Kiss Gang Bang. Well, like I said, I think it's a good idea. That's the right place for it. Because they were never going to get a studio to greenlight a reboot for a feature film. Going to Netflix is the right move. And I think they can do a lot of good there. It could also be a disaster, but if it's a disaster, it'll be a disaster quietly. And if it's good, nothing but upside. So I think it was really the right move. Alan Gonzalez writes, I have a little spoiler today, John. I went to Walmart last night and I saw the Halloween costume for Venom. It has the spider and it is the costume for the movie Venom. Yeah, trust me, I've seen lots of stuff at Walmart and Target and all that kind of stuff. Never believe that's actually an indication of what is or isn't in the movie. Never. I've seen too many of that thing before. Many, 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 many times. So believe me, it's not anything. And trust me, if it was real, there's no way they would have been allowed to put those on the shelves. So pay no attention to that. Holy Jeebus writes, can you name this movie? Sam Jackson helps an ex-government operative that has blonde hair and amnesia. Hope it ain't Captain Marvel. Long kiss. Well, I was about to say the long kiss goodnight. So why did he? Why put in the answer if you're going to say name this movie if you're just going to put what is in this? Yes, I was going to say the long kiss goodnight. I actually really like that film, like a lot. I love the long kiss goodnight with Gina Davis. Great movie. I love that movie. Derek Woodrin writes, morning, John. How do you get Ann to let you do porno kiss kiss gangbang? LOL. Just kidding. Love the show as always. Thank you so much, man. And all I'll say is my wife is the coolest lady in the world, and I'm not going to go into any more details than that. Jacob Silvers writes, kiss kiss kang bang. Don't know what that means. Static Space Sean writes, thoughts on La La Land. It's in my top 5 films of all time. I think it was a feat in many aspects of film. Don't see how it lost to Moonlight. No, I put Moonlight over La La Land myself. I didn't think either of them should have won. I was rooting for another film, but I did have Moonlight over La La Land, and I love La La Land. I think it's fantastic. It's a wonderful movie on so many levels. The way Damien Chazelle worked in the music and all that kind of stuff, it's a beautiful film. I love it. Again, I had Moonlight over it, but that does not take anything away from how freaking brilliant that movie is. And one of the reasons why the director of that film, I'm so looking forward to First Man. Because you got Damien Chazelle now directing First Man. And La La Land is one of the big reasons I'm so excited for this movie. Because of what he did in that. And of course, what he did in Whiplash. And now he's got this. I mean, it's just, I love La La Land, man. Thick Sheev writes, I wonder if they'll ever bring back road shows. I'm not really sure what it is we're talking about, Thick. Tristan Larson writes, you will never be a god, Loki to Thanos. I love that line. I always wondered if there was more meaning to it, too. I always wonder if we might find out there's a deeper meaning to that. I'm not really sure. Keaton Car 89 writes, hey, John, tell us about your love for Tommy Lee and Daehan. Yeah, like everybody gets me going. Whenever I get going on Best of the Best, I get all worked up and I get all excited. For those of you who have not seen that movie, it's called Best of the Best. Look it up. It's amazing. One of the ultimate man movies. It's amazing. And Tommy Lee and Daehan, who I only recently found out were brothers in real life. I had no idea until I was doing one of my shows and somebody mentioned, did you know that Tommy and Daehan are actually brothers in real life? I had no idea. No idea. And I've been in love with this movie forever. So crazy. Act Naturally Productions writes, chances on a Killmonger series. I don't know. I'm going to say no because it doesn't sound to me like something that Michael B. Jordan would do. Michael B. Jordan's got a pretty full dance card right now. I don't know that I'd see him being interested in going back to do that. Could I see Marvel doing it? Yes, but I'm going to say no because I can't see Michael B. Jordan doing it right now. But I'd watch it. I'd watch the hell out of that. Let's see. MJPG writes, since Disney will presumably own the X-Men rights by the time the Scarlet Witch show is in production, do you think they can use the show to introduce some X-Men characters? Yeah, they could. But again, until this thing is done, I don't even think they're thinking about X-Men at all. I'm dead serious about that. I don't think Marvel or Disney are even giving any thought to X-Men right now. I think until this deal is done, sometime in mid-2019, when the deal is done and the government's given their approval, that is when they'll start putting some work on that. So because of that, I don't think so. I mean, could you? Yes. But the Marvel version of Scarlet Witch is not a mutant. We already know her origin, how she got her power. It had nothing to do with mutation. So, I don't know. I mean, you could, but I doubt it. But I'm not going to put it, I wouldn't put money on that because anything can happen. Anything can happen at all. Jacob Vick writes, Vision Family Show. I'm not quite sure what we're talking about, Jacob. Sorry. Let's see. Mike Thompson writes, oh, Loki still got killed by a snap. Very, okay. Well done, Mike. Well done. It was still a snap, yes. Zach Dunbar writes, which was better, Luke Cage Season 2 or Iron Fist Season 2? Iron Fist Season 2. I thought Luke Cage Season 2 was bad. Not Iron Fist Season 1 bad, no. But I thought Luke Cage Season 2 was bad. Iron Fist Season 2, not bad. Not great, but not bad. So I'll actually say Iron Fist Season 2. Robert Johnson writes, mass mutation, meaning some exist already, not most. Yeah, I mean, it's possible. But again, it still represents a big problem because when you're still going to have to throw out a lot of X-Men lore to do that. So, and really, they already kind of try to play that card with Inhumans. With the release of the Terrigen and all that kind of, remember? They already try to kind of play that card. So I'm not sure that you go back to that well. I mean, they got to do something, and your thought of it is every bit as good as any other thought I've heard, but it also has problems with it, right? So we're going to have to see how they pull this one out. All right, just a couple questions left here. 2 more questions, we're done for the day. Robert Gayachinta writes, are you planning on watching the show Maniac? No, not really. Which is weird because I love Emma Stone and I love Jonah Hill, but I've got so much TV I don't watch a lot of TV. I just don't have time for a lot of TV. And I got other things I got lined up that I'm supposed to watch before I get around to that. So I'm not planning on it, but I'll say this. If it releases, then a whole bunch of you guys start telling me how awesome it is. Yeah, then I'll probably have to check it out. Because like I said, I love Emma Stone. I love Jonah Hill. So I'm going to wait to see what you guys say about it, and then maybe I'll check it out. Last question today. Jacob Silvers writes, I meant gangbang. Oh, because you wrote kiss kiss Kang bang. I didn't know what you were saying. Yes, that's been the big hashtag I've had people sending at me ever since I accidentally had that slip of the tongue. So there you go. All right, guys. That will do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show. Thank you so much for joining me. Listen, don't forget, I'll be back again today at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for open mic so we can just keep talking about more movies and all that types of great stuff. Hope you guys will join me then. Listen, do me a favor. Some of you guys are still not subscribed to my YouTube channel. Take a second, click on that subscribe button, become a subscriber to my YouTube channel. And also, guys, make sure you click the thumbs up button on this video and make sure you leave a comment below on any or all of the topics we discussed here today. Also, guys, want to give a special shout out and thank you to all of you guys who are already Patreon supporters of mine. You have no idea how grateful I am to you guys. And if you're not a Patreon supporter, do me a favor. Just go over to patreon.com/John Campea. Get the information about what it means to be a Patreon supporter, how being a Patreon supporter keeps the show on the air, and what perks there are to being a Patreon supporter, like audio-only versions of the podcast, a Facebook group, some behind-the-scenes videos, things like that. And then maybe you'll want to become a Patreon supporter too. If you do, that's awesome. All right, guys, that will do it for me for now. Thanks a lot for joining me. My name's John Campea, and until my next video, bye-bye.